Radio, the voice of Dansoman.
My presence here will make some people come back.
Are we going like that now?
So when it ends, then you bring the fader up and then.
Good morning, you are live on DC Radio 88.1 FM on DC Midday News. My name is Remiel, Dickson Jr. and I'm doing this with
Donkor.
Now the news headlines. We have not announced sanctions against persons who refused COVID-19 vaccine. Government.
Tamale COVID-19 Treatment Center workers threaten strike over non-payment of allowances.
Also, Nanado's anti-corruption credibility is in tatters. Jamie Bodi.
Family of woman allegedly killed by husband demands justice.
Don't turn parliament into a playground. Bagman wants MPs.
Public Service Workers Union calls for clarity on base pay negotiations ahead of budget.
Details of this will be brought to you shortly. Please do stay.
That's all.
Good. I think we are going to do a full thing. Now, anything I mean, did not tell me. I think he's doing a full.
And now the news in details. The government has denied reports that it intends to sanction persons who fail to take the COVID-19 vaccines. It says publications to that effect are fake and must be disregarded by the public. In a statement reacting to the reports, the Ministry of Information said no such decisions has been taken by the government. The media reports that made the claims cited Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah recently press interactions at Previously Lodge on March 8, 2021. During that event, the minister indicated that Ghana currently does not need to introduce sanctions, but should it become necessary, some actions will be taken. However, some media reports claim that indefinitely the government had taken decisions to sanction people who do not take the vaccine.
Now moving on to other stories, frontline health workers at the Tamale COVID-19 Treatment Center have threatened to lay down their tools by Friday 12 March over the government's failure to pay them the 50% basic salary allowance, which has been in arrears since last year. In a statement cited by DC News, they highlighted some other concerns, including the non-payment of insurance packages of frontline health workers who have contracted the virus in the line of duty. Now, according to DC News sources, at least 10 staffs at the Tamale Treatment Center have contracted the virus and recovered. This, they say, is discouraging them from giving of their best. They are thus appealing to authorities to address their concerns as such as possible, but for the meantime, they have saved notice of withdrawal their services starting Friday, March 12th.
And also in other stories, the co-founder and executive director of Afrobarometer, Professor Emmanuel Jima Bwedi, has questioned President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's commitment to fighting corruption, following the forced retirement of immediate past auditor General Daniel Yao Domlevu. Mr. Jima Bwedi said that recently development involving Mr. Dibulu exposes that the president's lack of credibility in fighting corruption. On March 2nd, a day before Mr. Domlevu was scheduled to return from his controversial forced leave, the Audit Service Board questioned his nationality and age. The board claimed that Mr. Domlevu should have retired in 2020 and is to release. The presidency endorsed the retirement claims of the Audit Service Board and said it considered Mr. Domlevu's retire. Mr. Jima Bwedi could not fathom why Domlevu had to suffer such a fate, having demonstrated a keen commitment to enduring corruption.
Now, the Public Service Workers Union of the Trades Union Congress wants the government to ensure that base pay negotiation factor into the 2021 budget. The union, which has expressed its disappointment over the government's inability to agree on the 2021 base pay, had called for the engagement of their salary negotiations for the year 2021 before the budget statement on Friday. The National Tri-Party Committee is yet to agree on the minimum wage for workers, and this is of concern to the union. The Minister of Parliamentary Affairs, Osei Mensah-Bonsu, will be reading the government's financial policy statement for the year tomorrow.
And also, the Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Aban Bagbin, said he will not tolerate any acts likely to turn the House of Parliament into a playground. He warned on Wednesday, March 10th, 2020, during the debate of the State of the Nation's address. The Speaker of Parliament was unhappy with the consistent interruption of submissions and heckling of members of Parliament sharing their views on the State of the Nation's address delivered by the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He specifically gave the warning when the Asafuano South MP, Eric Opoku, was being heckled on the floor on Wednesday, March 10, 2021. Mr. Eric Opoku had taken on the President over some of the things he said in his address, including the Akufo-Addo government's handling of the economy. The MP, among other things, accused the government of securitizing a number of the country's resources. He also raised concern with claims by the President that 4 helicopters had already been procured for the Ghana Police Service.
Now, moving away from that particular story, the family of the late Lillian Dejo believes strongly that the husband, Charles Dejo, is behind the death of her sister. According to the police, Mr. Dejo's reports on the incident suggest he found the deceased unconscious on their staircase and rushed her to the hospital. But the family of Lillian Dejo doubts that the husband accounts of events leading to his wife's demise. Brother of the late Lillian Dejo, Honorable Peter Blesu, in a DC Radio News interview, noted that the relationship between the couple have been undesirable. There was a point in time where my sister wanted to walk out of the marriage, Mr. Blesu noted. The suspect has been provisionally charged with murder and is to reappear before the court on Monday, 22nd, 2021. Meanwhile, the police say they are currently investigating the issue. This is all for DC Midday News right here on DC 88.1 FM. To end the news, here a short recap on the headlines.
We have not announced sanctions against persons who refuse.
That's all. Tamale COVID-19 Treatment Center workers threaten strike over non-payments of allowances.
And also Nanado's anti-corruption credibility is in tatters. Jima Boidi.
Family of woman allegedly killed by husband demands justice.
Don't turn parliament into a playground. Alan Bagman wants MPs.
Public Service Workers Union calls for clarity on base pay negotiation ahead of budget. News presented by Donkor, Jamila Tibella and
Remiel, Dickson Jr.
Have a good afternoon.